Hello and welcome back to the Journeymen. We're back for a long break. Wasn't scheduled, but here we are. We missed the last round of Premier League fixtures, but we're back just after the first round of Champions League matches of the season, and we're delighted to have Sean Finch Meehan back after a bit of personal time.
A
Not really,
hiatus, yeah.
a hiatus after 4 weeks of recording. And Dan Osborne, who's been our ever
Hey,
present
listen,
along with me.
listen. At least
Yeah.
I told you I got to flake off for a few times. You know, at least I came back. At least I
I mean,
came back and
we do have
absolutely.
two lads that still haven't shown up.
you know.
Yeah, despite constant promises from Liam McGuinn that he'll come back, he has not come back. So credit to you, Finch, for coming back. Anyway,
Exactly.
back to the matter at hand. The Champions League has literally just concluded its game week. I suppose we'll start with United's win in Paris last night, which I don't think many people were expecting, given United's start to the season. I know PSG haven't been exactly setting the world alight, but I don't think anyone expected them to turn over PSG. So I'll throw it to Finch first. What did you think of the match?
I saw something after the match concluded, which was quite apt. United's greatest ever managers, like a list of them, you'd have obviously Ferguson at the top, Busby second, and then somewhere in that top five, you're gonna have interim Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when he's facing the sack. Because everybody looked at that team and they were like, Jesus, we're not doing this.
The selection was looking mad.
Exactly, but it bore fruit in the end. You know, you're choosing players and because you believe in them, and they went out and made a difference. Like, I don't know whether it's Marcus Rashford finally getting back to some form. Obviously, scored against Newcastle and then scored the winner. Um, but if he gets back to form, then United are a different proposition altogether than what they have been. And United, like, they needed a slice of, like, luck is probably the wrong term. Like, the rules are the rules is the rules for that penalty. I don't necessarily agree with it, but like the rules are the rules.
In fairness to United, they've been on both sides of it recently.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
like,
I wasn't happy about it last night. In particular, well, obviously happy about. I wasn't happy about how the goal came. Obviously happy it went in,
Yeah.
but I wasn't happy when it happened against Palace, and I'm not happy about the rule in general. But
yeah,
I mean, if it's constantly applied, I can be a bit more. I can reason with it a bit more, but
yeah, those kind of instances seem to even themselves out over the course of a season, or at least they should, anyway. So, and to be honest, would United rather get it against Palace in the league, or would they rather get it against PSG in the Champions League?
Yeah.
no,
Probably say PSG in the Champions League,
absolutely.
especially away
Yeah.
from home. Like, you're picking up 3 points against the best team in the group.
It's the toughest game in the group.
Exactly.
You're not going to have a harder game than that.
Exactly.
Well, you might have a harder performance. You're not supposed to, but PSG were pretty easily nullified, I felt like.
Yeah.
I thought they were awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were really bad.
For a team that spent so much money, that starting 11 was not good. Like,
The commentators kept talking about the absence of Thiago Silva really showing you shouldn't have to rely. We've seen what Thiago Silva's like now. You shouldn't be thinking, oh, that's why we're not good.
I mean, like, speaking on Thiago Silva though, like watching him against Sevilla, he does immeasurably help the Chelsea defense, especially when you've got the likes of like, it's not hard to improve that Chelsea defense. Don't get me wrong, but Silva was solid, like solid in there against Sevilla, who were the best team in Chelsea's group as well.
I genuinely, I don't think he's better than like Kimpembe or someone though.
Like, I'm not sold on Kimpembe, you know?
Nah.
I don't think I've ever been sold on Kimpembe. Like, Marquinhos is a step above. Like, he could step into midfield, he can go back into centre half. Like, he can do all of those roles very well. But then it's whoever you place next to him, you know? And like, listen, Thiago Silva's getting on. I think it was about time he was supposed to leave Paris. He'd been there for 8 years, but I think it's not a moot point, but it's not one that you'd use it as an excuse for PSG. Like PSG, with all the money that they spend, like when you're bringing on Moise Kean,
he's on loan as well.
I was stunned when I had no idea he was there.
You know, like, and you're bringing on him, who he did make the grade at Everton. Listen, he's very young. He can still turn out to be a great player, but you know, like it's that and those kind of players that you're just thinking, why have they signed them? Like they're just
It's like Chop promoting last year, 2 years
exactly they're
ago.
just
Yeah.
fodder. They're just squad fodder. It's like and PSG have had a lot of players that have ended up like leaving and like been very good elsewhere. Like you look at say like Kingsley Coman is one example who just kind of left of his own volition, went to Juve and then went to Bayern and is a very good footballer. Is a very good footballer. You look at Christopher Nkunku at Leipzig. You know, like I just don't understand where you're going. Oh yeah, and you know who we'll bring in? Like we'll bring in this lad on loan. We'll bring this lad in on a free to just fill out the squad.
It's weird.
Like Thomas
It's really
Meunier,
odd.
Thomas Meunier gone. Obviously, you have Alessandro
Florenzi brought in.
Florenzi on
very-
loan.
But
Yeah.
the thing about that is Florenzi can play midfield, and he's a better midfielder. Like if you look at I think he's a better midfielder than Ander Herrera. Danilo Pereira does a job, but
I thought he was awful last night.
But he does a job, but like he's not. Why?
I thought the problem with their midfield is that it was just functional. Like the three of them were just there to just be a platform,
The
but
more
they
I look
hadn't.
at it, it's like why are you playing two sitters and a fella who he's not like Ander Herrera again? He's another player who does a job, not a creator. I know you've got a front three that are like magnificent and all that.
But you need someone to get the balls into them.
You need someone to find them. Yeah.
You know, and then you don't bring on Draxler. You know, the fact that Draxler's still there baffles me.
It's unreal.
Sarabia is on the bench. You know, Rafinha as well. Rafinha's he's not like his brother. Like he's not that player. He's not as good as Thiago. Like
no.
I don't understand. I can't understand what they're doing in terms of their lineup. I really don't. Obviously, like they were missing Marquinhos, but you would anticipate that Kimpembe and Diallo would be somewhat better than what they were, and even for all their attacking talent, it was Anthony Martial who scored for them. You know,
that's the thing.
That was a shocking header.
Even if oh my god, it was amazing. It looked like he meant it. But
that was a great header.
You can't. Sure, Marquinhos had helped their defense. He bolstered them up. But yeah, Mbappe, Neymar, and Di Maria were totally anonymous.
Yeah.
Obviously,
now Wan-Bissaka did a job on Mbappe.
Wan-Bissaka was great. I thought Tuanzebe was great.
That was a massive surprise.
But that's the thing. Tuanzebe, what he could be, is exactly what United need. Like a fella, like he's got pace. Like for all else, he's rapid. You know. And United need a pacey centre half to go beside.
He's what you need on the occasions where Harry Maguire gets spun and has a three-point turn to get around to the defence. You've got someone running in behind. You need that sweeper.
Which happens more often than not now, you know. And then if you want to put Lindelof in there, you know, like I thought they looked all right, you know.
I actually thought Shaw did well at left centre back as well, to be honest. I think he anytime he's deputised there, I thought he's been pretty decent.
I tell you, that's his best role. That's handily his best role because he's
not good enough going forward.
He's not good enough going forward, and he can't get up and down. Like he just can't get up and down. The chap is not like for whatever his physical state is, he just cannot get up and down. But there's one thing.
But then at the same time, he's pretty quick though. So you put him in the left centre back, he's fine.
He's quick when he only has to make a couple sprints a game. Which I feel like the tire is pretty quick.
Yeah. Which is what you want out of a centre back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If he's getting beyond his left winger all the time, he's bollocksed. He's goose, like he's no use. But in that role, he's perfect. I think he's perfect.
I think the biggest moment of the game was the Marcus Rashford winner. Unreal goal.
Like, not only is that an unreal goal, but it's what happens after it that I think is much better. And I'm not talking in the game. I'm talking he's just getting straight on Twitter and he's just smashing Tories out of it. That's why even though I'm not a citizen of the United Kingdom, he is my prime minister. I am disappointed that he took the MBE. I don't think he should have, because that's just the establishment saying you're good, stay in your lane. But
it's the establishment literally saying, "Hey, we recognize that you're telling us we're wrong. We know we're wrong. We're not going to do anything about it. We'll just give you a medal."
There's a medal. Yeah.
I don't get it.
But when
in terms of football, great call.
Yeah.
I thought he recovered well because there was a couple of moments like when he was breaking through and there was no one ahead of him when he tried to pick out Martial. in acres. Like he just had acres of space in front of him, and he tried this audacious through ball, and all he had to do was bring the ball into the box, and he probably would have scored. And there was another time when he rinsed Kurzawa, and then just took too long, got blocked, and then at the end he kind of just recovered with that goal, which is hopefully will give him a big confidence boost ahead of Chelsea on Saturday.
I don't think he's ever had a problem scoring great goals. He's
I think it's his decision making.
Yeah,
but he in terms of goals, I think he needs to. It's the striker's goals he needs to try and get. You know, it's I saw a comparison today on Twitter to him and young Wayne Rooney, in that Rooney just wanted to score from everywhere. He'd take these ridiculous shots and he'd score them, but it took him a while to kind of learn to be a striker, to be in the 6-yard box for the tap ins, like the easy ones, and to make the proper runs. And I think that's the same with Rashford.
yeah. I don't think he needs to morph himself into that prime Rooney, where, well, like Rooney, I think the folly for Wayne Rooney was that he tried to be, like, he could be a lot. And it's a folly for a lot of English forwards, I feel, is that, like, I can see it with Harry Maguire as well, is that, like, you're very good at doing one thing, which is scoring, and you're also a very good footballer. But, yeah, Harry Kane, is that now they're trying to be creators and step into the number 10 role, and they go further and further back. Like, and you'll see it with Kane. He's going to do it. It's a natural thing. Get in the box, score your goals, then try to do everything else. That's why we ain't seeing no Alan Shearers anymore. But all of those players are much better footballers than Shearer as well.
What was that?
Did I say something right?
No, it must have been your computer or something. It sounded like
right.
It sounded like a blue bottle got into your computer.
Okay. Finch, I think you erroneously mentioned Harry Maguire, and I have a question about Harry Maguire. After that defensive display, do you think he struggles to get back into United's back 4 or 5?
No, because they spent 85 million quid on him.
That's my answer too. He should do. He should struggle to get in, but you have to play him.
I counted that by saying Kepa cost 72
million. I was going to say, look how long it took to drop Kepa.
Yeah.
It took a long time.
The only reason why they couldn't was because they were like, let's give him a season under a new manager, see how well he does. Because obviously everything happened with Sarri and
now they're so scared that they put Petr Cech in their team.
Fair, so fair. I'd take Petr Cech right after Stephen Hunt did him, then Kepa. Like,
Petr Cech is at an age now where if he dives for a ball and he hits the ground, we describe it as he took a fall.
But
he is old.
But like, there's a very important point that was Jerry Armstrong made. Yeah, I was watching the match last night on Virgin. Jerry Armstrong was commentating on it. It was like, yeah, like I know there's a lot made about Petr Cech being 38. Willie Caballero's 39. Like, you know. And who would you rather have? I mean, I actually think that Caballero's a fine goalkeeper.
I'd rather have Willie Caballero, yeah. But...
I'd have Caballero over Kepa.
Well, based off Cech's decline in the last few seasons, I'd probably rather Caballero. But
yeah, but this is the thing. Like, at least now Chelsea have that alternative to Kepa. Thank God, in Edouard Mendy. It's like now United. Now I think it needs to be proven over a few games. Like, you kind of hope that Maguire isn't around for the weekend against Chelsea just to suss it out and maybe play that system again and see what you can do. And you're going to come up against...
Would you go with the back 5 again?
I'll go with the back 5 again, yeah.
If it works, it works. Particularly because you're playing another attack.
Up front. So it would depend on either Cavani being fit or Greenwood coming back to fitness for that to work, I suppose.
Or you could...
Although I thought...
Personally,
I liked it when Pogba and Fernandes were playing with Fred and McTominay. I thought the two of them had a lot of license with 2 behind them rather than just the 1. I wouldn't mind to see that, like with Rashford and then the 2 of them playing off him or something. Or Van de Beek if they ever decide to actually play him.
Yeah, and then you have your width through Wan-Bissaka, who, like, to be honest, basically you're giving up your right hand side because Wan-Bissaka isn't getting forward. He's not supplementing the attack. But
he Alex scored the weekend.
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly like, it didn't look like he meant to put it there at all.
It wasn't a marauding forward goal.
Yeah, exactly. But like, and so you're going to come up against, like, you're going to double up, and it just depends on how Lampard plays against whatever setup that United have, because Wan-Bissaka is going to lock whoever's on the left down, and are you going to waste Timo Werner out on the left again? Or what are you gonna like? How are you gonna nullify that? Chelsea have got to play their team. I think it's key that Mason Mount is not playing. I think that's absolutely critical. But are you gonna play Pulisic? Are you gonna like Chelsea have got all these attacking options that they can use. They can switch it up with Abraham. They can switch it up with Giroud if they need to. But I think United play that back three. Like if it works against PSG away,
surely the best front lines in the world. Yeah,
exactly. Surely it works against a Chelsea team with a good attacking lineup, not as good as that front three.
And a worse defensive lineup probably as well. Even though like.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
like
judging off their performance against Southampton at the weekend.
But then you're going, Kepa's not going to be in. Thiago Silva's back instead of Christensen. Like again, I'd say they're probably 6 and 1, half a dozen of the other. Like Levin Kurzawa, you're having Chilwell all day over him. Florenzi, I'm having Reece James over him. And then the centre halves, Diallo and Kimpembe up against Zuma and Silva, probably about equal, you know.
And then you have Navas, who's probably better than anything Chelsea have, I'd say.
No, definitely.
But you've also got N'Golo Kante instead of Danilo Pereira.
Exactly.
That's true as well.
You've got a lot of different, like Chelsea do have a lot of, like I was watching the Chelsea match yesterday, and it's good that they got a clean sheet, but at the same extension, it's just like there wasn't much going forward. Like Havertz didn't really get the ball in dangerous positions. Mount was.
I know he had that great. I know Havertz had that great cup game, but I haven't seen much of him yet. Like I don't think I think he had one great game so far, and it was
against Barnsley.
Yeah, like
he played all right against Southampton. Like I know he wasn't. I probably would have said that he wasn't going to hit the ground running like Werner. Like it took Werner a while, obviously, but like those 2 goals against Southampton at the weekend were brilliant. That's exactly.
They're instinctual, yeah. Like he's on his way,
and it's not even like, but it's not even instinctual. It's like it's everything that he's doing is bang on what you want your centre forward to do. Lampard can't play him on the left again. I think he's wasted out.
I don't understand. Do you have enough left and right wing players?
The only reason why was because Pulisic was injured. Now he's back, and you're playing Pulisic out on the left. You're playing Werner down the middle. Then you've got a choice out right. You can play Ziyech, you can play Mount, you can play Hudson-Odoi. You know, but I think that it's critical that Chelsea don't play Kante and Jorginho together in the midfield, because they need someone to push the ball forward quickly.
That used to be Kante. I miss that Leicester Kante. He was doing that all the time.
But I think the thing about Kante now is that like he will try push it, like he'll still try and push it forward, but you need someone with a bit more guile on the ball.
Yeah.
Like, and he doesn't have that. He's got like everything else that you want. He's got great defensive instincts, and he can just get up and down. He can run all day for you, but he's not somebody that's going to pick a pass into someone a bit more creative. Like he can give it off to a Kovacic or a Jorginho. The problem with Jorginho is that he rarely finds that pass into like a Mount or a Pulisic.
Here's a crazy one. What if the second player back next to Kante was Mount?
I'd rather have Kovacic.
I think Kovacic. I do think Mount could do a job there, and I think there's this kind of almost the opposite of what you were saying earlier with English strikers kind of coming back and back and back, in that as soon as an English player looks good as a creative player, they try to push him forward. And I think a lot of them could work more as like a Thiago type midfielder. I think Mason Mount
I think
can
he
kind
could
of do a little bit of everything. And I think, as a good secondary defensive midfielder, like
I think he's a bit too lightweight. I know that like Thiago isn't exactly an imposing presence, but like he's got a very good low center of gravity, and his core strength is unbelievable. So he can maneuver.
I don't think Mount would be great at it right now, but I think you could mold him into that type of player because he loves to press the ball.
He'd be a project.
Yeah.
Well, I think you've got to get
Chelsea have the space for it. They don't need Mason Mount in the front four at the moment. So
I don't think that. I think that's the key point, is that he's not needed immediately.
Yeah. Regardless
of how well he did last season, the players that Chelsea have in those positions are better than him.
Yeah.
And even the player that is in that perspective position, Kovacic, Chelsea player of the season last season, even proved against Sevilla, came on for a half an hour and was probably the best player on the pitch. but he was doing it in his own half. It's just a case of getting it forward. But that match is going to be interesting at the weekend because both teams haven't really had a great start to the season.
I'd say that's
nil
understating it a bit.
Yeah,
It's gonna
no,
be terrible.
Then? Draw.
It's 0-0 draw. It's gonna be boring as shit. I want it to be good, but it won't. It never is.
I was doing a little bit of research before we even decided to do the show on just like because I just noticed the amount of away wins and in the league, and there's been 22 away wins I think in the 48 games so far, and only 17 home ones. Like I feel like playing at home isn't an advantage anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is kind of like United have obviously lost both their home games and they've won 5 of their away games in all competitions. So I feel like obviously United have been good in big games under Solskjaer. That's one thing I can't fault them on. But
unless
I wonder,
it's a semi-final.
Yeah, of course. But I'd wonder will they struggle at home because they need at least a point at home to stop this rut. Because even going back to last season, they drew at West Ham and Southampton in the last 2 games of last season at home. So they haven't won at home since Bournemouth, or I think it was Bournemouth in July. So they could do it a home win.
All right, I'm gonna cut this off here because we've spoken for like half an hour and we're still on game 1. So.
Oh well, no, we're taking that Chelsea.
We're taking Chelsea out too.
Chelsea are gone.
Yeah.
There was nothing really to talk about in that match, but at least we talked
No.
about Chelsea and United in that same breath. We don't have to look forward to that.
Yeah.
I've got a point to make. I know Liverpool won. Diogo Jota looked very good against Ajax, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Again, I just want to talk and then revert back to also Saturday and then previous, although I won't obviously speak about the Aston Villa game. That's enough's been said about that. But I understand, with Alisson being out, the Klopp wants an experienced goalkeeper in goal, okay, right? So that's why Adrian's playing.
I take a deep breath there.
Right? I understand. But surely you look at those performances, and you quite clearly see that he's not good enough. But what that does is say everything that needs to be said about Kevin Kelleher. Kevin Kelleher is not the future of Irish goalkeeping. So people can, just because he plays for Liverpool, has a Champions League winners medal.
Plays in quotation marks too. Like
exactly, has a Premier League winners medal. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. The man, lovely lad, but is not the future of Irish goalkeeping.
I've never been confident in him. I've watched any game he's played, he hasn't been good.
I mean, you look at the Arsenal game last year.
Exactly, and just because he saves a penalty at the end, he's
and then Van Dijk puts up that tweet, man, like Queeveen or whatever, and you're like,
whatever it was, and it's like,
Kelleher,
no. Just because he's a young fella and he saved the penalty.
In a meaningless cup game that Liverpool probably wanted to lose.
They did want to lose badly.
Yeah. Well, the players on the pitch didn't, because they're the ones who. That's literally their. If they don't lose, if they lose that's their last game of the season.
Jurgen Klopp wanted to lose it. Klopp
absolutely. He wasn't even there.
But a lot of the goals in that were poor. He's good with his feet. All goalkeepers now are good with their feet.
Adrian is not. He did, of course, Finch, you said you only saw the last 15. He did it again today where he kicked it right to the striker.
I saw that.
Yeah. It's every game now.
He nearly cost you a win at the end as well with that last ball into the box.
Oh my God, the decision making is just so piss poor. He's brain dead.
I'm not one to usually read into body language on the pitch, but Joe Gomez hates Adrian.
Literally,
every time Adrian does anything, Gomez just turns around and says, "What are you doing?"
But this is the point. It's like, so if your options are Adrian and Kelleher, surely it says everything you need to know about Kelleher, that he's not good enough. I know he's only 22 now, 21, 22, but surely you've got to go, put it this way, right? So in the future of Irish goalkeeping, you're looking at Mark Travers, Kevin Kelleher, and Gavin Bazunu. They're probably the 3 that you'd look at as being the future of Irish goalkeeping. Bazunu is doing relatively well on loan at Rochdale. Travers has got Premier League experience. I know he's not first choice for Bournemouth in the Championship now, but the fella ahead of him is Asmir Begovic, who's got about 1 million caps for Bosnia. It's understand. Played for AC Milan at some juncture in his career. Played for Chelsea as well.
Scored a goal.
Did score a goal. But Kelleher, Kelleher has obviously got to face up against Alisson, who is probably if not the best goalkeeper in the world, top 3 at the very least.
Yeah,
But
himself,
injury
Neuer,
prone
Oblak
too,
or something.
and
Oh,
has
Black
missed
and
like
Ter Stegen, like,
Yeah.
and so you're learning off him, grand. But then if when he gets injured, you have to be better than Adrian.
It's I think next season is we'll see what happens in January, because if Liverpool try to sign another goalkeeper in January, I think that's it for Kelleher.
And
Yeah.
you know what? I do think it's about time. I think he needs to start playing first team football. I know it's great
Yeah.
and all. You're at the best club side in the world, and everything is rosy.
There's only so much you can get off the bench, though.
Exactly. What you doing learning when you're not playing, and you have bleeding Flute Loops McGee ahead of you on the pitch, who can't.
It's surprising he hasn't gone on loan at any point.
I think
Yeah.
it's just because I don't know about third choice goalkeepers, like what you get from that. Like,
Well, I suppose you do need
as a young goalkeeper, though, as a young goalkeeper, I don't know. Like, if you're second choice and you're a young goalkeeper, grand, you're getting all the cup games, for the most part. Like, in most clubs, you're getting all those cup
I
games.
suppose like a Dean Henderson or something like.
Exactly, like Henderson is going to be the cup goalkeeper for United, but with Kelleher, he's third choice. He doesn't. He got. Did he get the Carabao Cup this year, or was that Adrian?
No, I don't think he did. I think it was Adrian.
And he only got it last year by virtue of the Club World Cup. Really?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, one of them was in the World Cup, to be fair to him.
yeah, no, but then again, and even at that, it was between him and Andy Lonergan.
And Adrian also had a bunch of games at the start of that season because Alisson was out.
That's what. So
also,
he got
a
that.
lot of goals then too.
Yeah, but he got that. I understand maybe at the start of last season because Kelleher has literally played no first team football at all, like nothing. Then he gets the games in the Carabao Cup, and then this year you have to see some form of improvement or like a step up. That has to be competing with Adrian, like genuinely competing. And I'd love to see him hop in. I'd love to see him hop in and see what he can do.
We're seeing it from other Liverpool youth players. Curtis Jones started tonight. You need to see it from the goalkeeper too.
Reece Williams came on. You've got Nico Williams as well. You've got all of these young players coming through. Obviously, Ryan Bruce is at the going for mad money because he's English. But if he was there, would have played.
So Ryan Brewster and Kiana Hoover together paid for Thiago. It's just unbelievable. I don't get it.
Yeah. Who else? Harvey Elliott as well. Like these players.
He played a full game for Blackburn tonight. I think Harry Wilson scored for.
He did. Is he on loan again? Or is he? Yeah,
he's on loan again.
Why have we not sold him?
We tried to sell him. We tried to sell him for I think 15 mil. We got offered 11 or something. We said no, and then all the offers disappeared. He's not that good.
He's not that good.
He's 24 years old.
For Liverpool anyway.
But it scores free kicks. I think that's all he is. But this is the thing, and you need to see that step up from Kelleher. Because Liverpool have proven that they've got strength and depth. You see it tonight with the amount of injuries, and they're going to have to prove it even more now with Van Dijk out for a considerable period of time.
The season, yeah.
What's the prognosis on Thiago?
This is nothing yet. They haven't said anything.
Like he could be out for a fair whack, like, and you're going to need players to step up, and I think they will. It's going to be obviously a closer run title race just because of those injuries. Even with Alisson being out for as long as
the title's going to be won at 80 to 85 points this year. Like no one's going mad. No one's getting 90 points.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Even though we had a title race in 18-19 with Liverpool and City, it was so dull because they won every game, and you're just like, no one's going to slip up here.
Exactly.
You need slip ups and you need twists and turns, but there was none. There was literally just 14 games of nothingness.
It's unfortunate that it occurs at the, because of an injury, really, because of 2 injuries, maybe 3. Like, even like at the start of the season with Aguero being out for City as well. Like, you're just like, it's shy. It is shy. I would much rather if those players were playing, but they were losing a few matches as well. That would be.
They didn't look as good as they did anyway, but you would have expected them to rectify it as the season went on.
Exactly. But
focusing on Liverpool in general,
they do look good. They do look all right. Jota looks fire.
Well, he looks like a good signing, to be fair.
Yeah,
he's
better than. I'm still happy we signed him over Sarr.
I'm delighted United didn't go for Sarr either.
He's not that good.
Just against Liverpool last season, to be fair.
Yeah, he had that one good match.
Yeah.
Well, it is kind of staggering that Liverpool have dropped the same amount of points now as they did when football was locked down last year. Like, it's kind of crazy that like they went so far into the season dropping just like it seems mad that they dropped 5 points, which isn't that much.
Yeah,
but like
it's yeah. I mean, 2 of those drop points at the weekend, like very upset about. But yeah, they just I don't know. They're not they haven't been as good as they were last year, but I don't think we're gonna see a performance as good as they were last year for a long time.
Yeah,
Like
I think it's
this is normal. This is very normal for like a title challenger.
exactly.
It's
Like
just we haven't had a normal title challenge in a
people
long
are gonna
time.
forget. People are gonna forget how historic the last 3 seasons have been.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Liverpool and City. Like, you know, like it's like when people gush about, like, say, the Invincibles or Chelsea, like first the first Mourinho stint at Chelsea, or like one of the 3 in a rows from United. Like, these things don't happen all the time. They just don't happen all the time. You know, so we've become used to it over the last 3 seasons. I'm delighted that, you know,
I'd be much happier if Everton, if the bar is lowered back to 90 or whatever, and below 90.
It's easy to say that when you're not a fan of one of the teams with the 99.
Yeah, but I'm delighted.
I was saying the same thing with Liverpool were shit. Like,
no, but
it's
I
just
think,
boring, isn't it?
I say this as a lapsed Chelsea fan or whatever, but like I'm delighted that now. Well, like obviously it's hard to gauge because you're only so far into the season, but like Aston Villa unbeaten so far. Everton will be, if not top 4, top 6 this season. Like, I don't think
do Villa sustain it?
Villa
I don't
won't
think so.
sustain it, but I think they might be top 10. You know,
Well, like you look at their goals at the start of the season must have been stay up. Like based off what they did last season, it had to be stay up, and they've already picked up more than 33% of what they picked up last season.
Yeah,
so,
like I don't think that they're going to sustain it for any great period of time. They're going to hit that rough patch, and they're going to hit it probably fairly hard. I still think that they're going to do very well, and they're probably going to stay. They're probably maybe top 10, but mid-table would be brilliant for them.
They're not a relegation candidate.
But I would prefer to see those teams like Leicester last season. I want to see more Leicesters. I want to see more. I want to see more pushes from Everton. You know, because it's fucking death. Like it's so long since, you know, Everton got top 4 in like 2005, and they finished ahead of Liverpool, or like Spurs getting the Champions League ahead of Man City 10 years ago.
Yeah. But it was technically ahead of Liverpool because City went and established top 4 either.
Yeah, but it was City between City and them. Like,
yeah, and they played at the Etihad.
Yeah, I think that was the Hodgson season from Liverpool. Or was it the last Rafa season?
09-10.
That's
no,
a blur.
It was still Benitez.
That was the last Rafa
season. Last year.
Oh, that was bad. But like those kind of teams where like they're not coming from nowhere. You know, it's like how I always wanted the Martin O'Neill Villa team to get into the top 4.
First with Young and Lahore, and
like they just had like they were just.
They bottled a few champions.
Yeah, they did. But like, I'd rather see that than
back to the United.
What?
The same top 6 every
year. Yeah. Like it's boring as fuck. Like it's just, it's like the Newcastle one. That one was a mad one. The Papi Cisse Dembaba one. That was a great one. That was a brilliant one.
And you forget, like, Chelsea didn't finish in the top 4 that year. They only got in because
6 and won Champions League.
I mean, it looked like we were going to have it last season with before the lockdown. I mean, Sheffield United were flying.
Yeah.
And once they came back, they just fell apart.
And they fell apart since the start of the new season too.
They're still falling apart.
They're in deep doo doo.
And they have a horrible setup. I mean, their next game's Liverpool.
Yeah, I looked at
that. Yeah, it's bad.
I think they've City and Liverpool in the next 2 games, and like that's basically 1 point after 7 games, having played 4.
So the next 3 games are Liverpool, City, and Chelsea.
They're in massive trouble.
That's
it. That's rough.
Are they away to Chelsea or home to Chelsea?
They're away to Chelsea and Liverpool and home to City.
They might lose.
That's horrible.
Although that being said, we are talking about like home and away,
games
so
don't matter. Yeah.
They might beat them.
Fair, yeah.
Maybe Ryan Brewster will do it for them.
They have a good record against Chelsea as well.
They need it quick.
Yeah.
My shout for Sander Berge as most improved player of the season is not.
Are we still waiting for this, Finch?
I'm waiting. I'm all in.
Did we see 20th versus 19th? No, obviously they were 20th versus 19th, but 20th versus 19th next May on Sunday. between the two of them.
Yeah,
I can't see the fixtures here.
No, like just gone with Sheffield United and Fulham. Like
I am.
I find it very hard to see how either of them get themselves out of this.
the only thing I'll say for both of them is that there are a lot of teams that I'm not convinced by. There's certainly two of them. And Sheffield United do have a distinct way of playing, which I don't think Fulham have.
If Ryan Brewster comes in and gets 10 goals, I think they'll be fine. Like there's a lot of pressure on him, but if he does well, that's all they lack is a goal scorer.
They need a Neil Maupay. Maupay last season was the reason why Brighton stayed up, because he scored important goals.
Or Jordan Ayew for Palace.
Yeah, like you're looking, like I'm looking at the league table now, which just looks hilarious. So I would have said that the bottom four at the moment, West Brom, Burnley, Sheffield United, and Fulham, like they're the teams that are probably going to be in trouble for the majority of the season. Then is Brighton, who I've been impressed by every time I've seen them, and I don't think that they'll be anywhere near relegation. But you know they are at
the minute.
They're in 16th, and then next is United in 15th. So like, I think the bottom four now is probably going to be the bottom four going forward.
Can I just say that it is?
Drop.
Yeah.
West Ham will drop.
Yeah. Do you think West Ham could fall back into the? I know they have 7 points and they were brilliant against Wolves and Leicester, and then brilliant for 10 minutes against Spurs. But like I just don't know how I feel about them. They were awful Newcastle, and awful for 60 minutes against Spurs, but somehow
the club clearly isn't in a good position still, and I don't think a couple of games changes that. And I think I think there's only so much the players on the pitch can do when the club is in such a rot. I think they will get dragged back down.
I think they'll probably end up finishing around 15th. I don't think they get relegated.
I can't call it. It's only 5 games, and they were candidates at the start of the season. They still are to me.
Yeah, I think even though a lot of teams have done well, I think there's still a lot of candidates because it's so hard to choose, like to know who's going to drop down and who's going to extricate themselves out of there. So.
Yeah.
I just think that everything surrounding West Ham dictates that they're probably going to get stuck pretty much around the bottom of the table. Everything like the boardroom, boardroom debacles, and David Moyes being their manager being pretty big omens for you being near enough the relegation zone. I know, like in fairness, like the recovery against Spurs was brilliant. And obviously their performances
you can't rely on that though.
Exactly, and their performances without David Moyes were brilliant when he got struck with COVID.
Yeah, that was very funny.
But
it was very funny that they were absolutely awful for the first 60 minutes of his return as well. Like
exactly,
like the first 20 minutes against Spurs, I was just watching.
But I mean, Moyes can say, he subbed on. Lanzini had nothing to do with it. He just hit the ball. Moyes made the call. But what a fucking goal, man.
I was just about to say,
oh my god.
Some of my favorite goals, right? So when something happens, and it's everything that accrues with it. When I'm celebrating a goal, like Pats have scored, and it means something to me on a visceral level. But I don't care about your team. I don't care about the match. It has to be something brilliant. And I screamed the gaff down when Lanzini scored. Unbelievable. I was
out of my seat, like I was properly like clapping, like I was.
I was up out of the chair. Like it's a last minute goal, but not only a last minute goal, but all the drama that goes with it. Like it's just such a beautifully struck ball. The keeper getting a touch onto it, underside of the crossbar. It just had everything. Being against Spurs as well was
if you took
good.
the 3 goals, if you took the 3 West Ham goals and changed the order of them, it wouldn't feel nearly as special. But it's the fact that it was the one to tie the game. Like if the Davinson Sanchez own goal was the last one, it'd be funnier, but it wouldn't be nearly as big a moment.
I actually think it's funnier that they concede a fucking just a goal that you would never anticipate happening. It's just like I think it's funnier if you're a Spurs fan. You're going like, what can you do? I mean, not
Yeah.
concede 2 goals before it, obviously, but like,
Yeah.
you know, when that goes in, you're just kind of like, you gotta let it happen. You know, Manuel Lanzini likes scoring against Spurs. You know, that's just how it is.
Also, on top of not conceding 2, half an hour into that game, Spurs fans, commentators were realistically, understandably talking, "Oh, this could be 5, this could be 6. You know, we could get big numbers here because
Yeah,
they should have
exactly.
kicked on and done it, and
Yeah,
they just didn't."
I think
exactly
that
like they
kind
did
of
against
comes back
United.
to Mourinho.
Mm.
That comes back to Mourinho though. Like it's just ingrained that like eventually just okay, what we have we hold. We'll take the win without exerting too much, without putting the foot down. Like they didn't really put the foot down, and then West Ham
That's the
you could
thing.
see it. They were getting more chances and more.
You say that, but then like, you know, against United, they didn't take the foot off the gas.
I think that's different though, because United were down to 10 men and we're 4-1 down by half time, and literally we're gifting like the Kane first goal where they tried to pass it out from the back, and then Spurs won it back, and then United gifted them the penalty. The Aurier goal was a good goal, but like from the 50th minute on, Spurs didn't have many chances. They got one penalty.
Yeah,
That
well, like I just think
stupidly or Pogba
I think all those things are circumstantial as well. Like, if I'm 3-0 up and I'm just looking at like how the game is being played, like, am I going to exert a load of energy to get?
Yeah, it's not necessarily what they did after 3-0. It's what they did after 3-1.
Yeah,
Because once that goal goes in, you need to be, all right, lads, let's pick up the tempo a little bit. Because you could see even when West Ham scored it, not only did West Ham reacted like it was a consolation goal. No one ran into the net to grab the ball. They just kind of walked off, and Spurs did the same. But whatever West Ham are doing, Spurs need to be saying, right, lads, get the head up. Let's make sure we lock this out.
like I think that like those kind of situations are when you need to be a very, very good tactical manager. And you need to make a change, like be it put on a sub. Like, did they have any subs left, Spurs? I know obviously Bale came on and then everything the shit hit the fan.
And he should have scored the winner
And he
too.
should have scored.
To be fair, we wouldn't be
it would have been perfect. I'm glad it didn't go in because like it's Bale and it's Spurs. I don't like them, but it would have been so perfect.
Yeah, like we wouldn't be talking about Lanzini's goal or how bad Spurs are in terms of bottling if that ball finds the bottom corner.
I
think I saw a tweet of like that side. Surely like the option was to whip it into the far corner, but
or like maybe toe poke it. I don't know. Bale
he hasn't seen a lot of football, you know. He's very rusty. You'd imagine he hasn't done anything for years. Like
that's true.
Yeah, it annoys me that he's wearing number 9. He's not number 9. Never will be.
And Kane's wearing number 10. They need the swap.
Well, Eric
don't get me started. Don't get me started on this bullshit. Don't get me started on this fucking bullshit. Like Harry Kane. Like again, I'm going right back to this. Harry Kane, you're not a number 10.
Yeah.
Wayne Rooney, not a number 10. Robbie Keane, stop wearing number 10. You're not a number 10. Put the number 9 on your back and go and score goals. Obviously, that harks back to when it was 2 up top. But Rooney and Kane, no excuse. No excuse.
But yeah, I think if we just like exiled Eric Lamela from British football and gave Kane or Bale back the 11 jersey, would be great for everyone because Eric Lamela is a cunt.
Excuse me, he's a clever football player. As I know, he's not English. No, he's not English, so he is a cunt. But if he was English, if it was Harry Kane,
I've always hated Eric Lamela ever since this infamous game at Stamford Bridge, where he stamped on Fabregas's fingers, I believe, and then you just see him rolling around like a little cunt, and it just.
Speaking of stamps, actually, did anyone see the Man City penalty incident today?
The Pepe, or is this?
Yeah, Pepe on Sterling.
How was he not sent off?
But sorry, not the one that got the first penalty.
I didn't see that one. I saw the thing later in the game.
It was a whatever little kind of foul, but right before it, Gundogan was through on goal. Goalkeeper tries to stop it, and Gundogan obviously accidentally, but he stamps on his shin and puts the goalkeeper out of play, and so they're scrambling to defend, and Pepe bumps into Sterling, and they get a penalty. But they review it on VAR, they see the stamp, and then they see the foul afterwards, and they go, yeah, it's a penalty. Like, how do you see the initial foul and say, yeah, no, that doesn't matter?
I don't know anymore. I really don't, and I'm becoming so disillusioned.
I'm lost.
I'm just becoming so disillusioned. Like, surely you look at things and like, you look at Pickford, and what happens, right? Okay, so something happens before a foul. Okay, so you have to go with the initial. So it's offside. Cool, that's offside. Grant, it's offside. It's sending off as well.
Yeah, it's not a penalty. Like
It's
the
not a penalty
isn't,
because it's already offside. All right, like how it's not a red card in any way is just like, what's the
like?
So here's the thing about it. Throughout the whole game, we were being told, they were telling us, oh, it can't be because the whistle had gone for a different thing. But then at the end of the game, Richarlison gets sent off after a whistle has gone for something else because he put in a bad tackle.
So and then like
it was the same thing. And as soon as it happened, all the pundits said yes, the right call, but they can't both be the right call.
This is the thing.
But my big thing is, if say Pickford didn't make that tackle, the ball went out for a goal kick, and it was just a free kick for offside, and then he punches Van Dijk in the face.
Well, they say
it's a red card.
They say that would be violent conduct, whereas this is just serious foul play. But it's reckless endangerment.
It's reckless endangerment, like it's.
And who was it? Was it Rob Green on Sky who said it was okay because Pickford wasn't looking at Van Dijk, as if not being aware of your surroundings isn't the absolute definition of reckless endangerment?
Exactly. I mean, like, in fairness to Rob Green, I don't think Jordan Pickford's been aware of his surroundings for a good 3 years now.
Yeah. This is also the second time Jordan Pickford's gotten away with something like this, like with Dele Alli.
Oh, yeah.
Their final justification is that Michael Oliver saw the incident, so they can't do anything about it. I still don't get that role. I don't understand that.
To be fair, I do buy that they saw the incident because they fucking looked
I believe
at it.
that.
But
I just don't understand why that's they see every incident now because it's on camera. So is there never going to be retrospective action?
Like,
that's a good point.
That's the thing. Like, how can you not see that and then say you've made an error, but then not actually? I don't know. And it's like, if you're I'm looking at these things and I'm looking at that and I'm looking at all their excuses, and I'm also seeing like the Robertson incident, which I thought was a red card, which they didn't.
He kicked Allen. Yeah.
It's more stamped on him, I would say, rather than
yeah, sure.
But that's the thing. I can get it far more. Like, I understand that there's far less outrage because it's these things happen. Like, it's kind of the Gundogan thing as well. Like, now whether he meant it or not, I actually thought he meant it. I thought it was quite intentional. But
Robertson or Gundogan?
Gundogan, no. Robertson, yeah. I thought he's going down and he sticks his leg out. He knows exactly what he's doing. But I don't understand, how can you look
the craziest thing is that might not even that's only maybe the worst decision from VAR that game. I still don't see Mane as offside. They drew the line from his arm. Man, the line is drawn from his tricep. I don't get it.
Man, I saw this and I went, listen, I went out to me dad. I was watching the match, he wasn't. And I went, it's hilarious because it's against Liverpool.
Yeah, I laughed a lot, but it is wrong.
But I had to get up out of the room and walk out to him. I was like, I can't fucking watch this anymore, man. It's fucking stupid.
It's
I just don't understand how you need all of these angles. Why can't it just be right? It goes to VAR, and if I can see quite clearly that he's offside, he's offside. And if it's not given on the pitch, then it's.
But here's the thing: this isn't even one of those like, oh, it's a millimeter over, but it's still over. I genuinely can't see it being off. I've looked at the image a lot. I don't see it as being even a millimeter off. He's not even level. He's onside.
Is it like the way his arm is? The way his arm is. It's also his back. But you have to draw man, go fuck it. It's a goal. It's a goal.
So the worst part, not the actual worst part, but the worst part, Pickford gets doubly lucky because he fucks up for the goal.
So bad.
Like, he had two of the biggest mistakes, like two of the worst moments Pickford has had, and he got away with both of them.
He's just so bad. The only bonus for Pickford that I've noticed from watching the match back is that he is a lovely arse. He's a very big arse, fair play to him. But that's no fucking use when you're a shit goalkeeper and you get away with things constantly because you're England's number one when you shouldn't be England's number one.
Shouldn't be England's number two.
England squad. Like, there are 3 England goalkeepers that are better than him.
Nick Pope is a million miles better than him. Dean
Henderson is better too. Yeah.
Fuck, I've given Aaron Ramsdale a load of stick, but Ramsdale's fucking better than him.
Honestly, that's the only solace I can take in that is that Everton probably wanted him suspended. Fans did.
When Robin Olsen gets in goal, it'll be a problem for the Premier League when Everton actually fulfill their potential. But I'm just fed up. I'm really fed up.
Yeah.
I just the offside thing has obviously been a problem since VAR came into the Premier League. Well, since VAR came in general, but I just don't understand how they haven't come up with some sort of leniency where, like, if a player, because they say this 30 centimeter thing where the margin of error, surely if it's within that remit, that you can just be like, okay, it's
the on-field decision stands.
Yeah, because like, what benefit do you get from being a millimeter offside anyway? Like, I know it's supposed to be black and white, but you can't be black and white when the frames move so quickly. So
before VAR, we did have a leniency protocol. It's called level is onside. They're just not abiding by that anymore. They see level now and they go, let's make it offside. Let's find a way.
Even if Mane's foot was offside in pre-VAR times, and when they look back at it, they'd just be like, well, we give them the benefit of the doubt. It's so tight. Like no one would be up in arms over that.
But benefit of the doubt is one thing, and I agree with it. But like, I really do think that just like, clear and obvious is this sort of hackneyed term. Well, clear and obvious. Like, so if I look at the Mane thing and I look at it, and I'm not drawing any fucking line. I'm literally drawing the line that you used to get on FIFA, which denotes the furthest possible playable limb that the defender has, and that is the offside line. And then if I can see that Mane isn't, like, if he's level with that, I'm not drawing a line up to it, I'm not using geometry in order to find out the millimeters between it, I'm going, yeah, the line is there. You know, the way you'd look at it, like the way you'd look at anything before VAR, before those poxy lines came in. And
before they drew the lines, even when they drew the lines, every commentator and every streamer was, no, it's onside, that's going to count. And then everybody was stunned. But it's...
and to be fair, I think most clubs have suffered and benefited from it. Like, you think back to Liverpool last season against Wolves in Anfield, when I think it was Aguero's foot. The finish with like you're talking, like, I don't even think his foot was offside, but
Liverpool got it against Chelsea last year too.
Against Villa for Liverpool last year, when for me it was offside. Like, it wasn't.
The armpit,
it's just gonna piss every single fan base off, and even though they might level it, they might not, but no one cares, because it's just
the staunchest VAR supporters, which I was coming in. Even you can ask anyone in the world, nobody's VAR has got a higher opinion of VAR now than they did when it was introduced.
Yeah,
because I had a very high opinion of it. I still think it is the future, because it has to be, because they're not going to get rid of it. But it's been so poorly executed.
I look at it from the opinion of somebody who watches a lot of football, but watches a lot of football that has absolutely no technology at all. There's nothing in it. The fact that we have streaming now is a miracle. I just look at the Premier League, and it's already in a different universe, and all of these things coming out about, like, the fucking European Super League, like they have done for the past 25 years, like all that shit. It just proves how, like, in a different universe, the Premier League and all those clubs and everything like that exists in, compared to just football. And I know it's so simplistic, and I know there's a lot of money riding on all these decisions to be right, wrong, and different, right? But when you get down to the bare bones of football, like, offside is a fairly fucking simple construct, is it not? Like, just talking offside, handball should be a fairly simple construct, right? It's just being continually blurred. All of these things, they've just been complicated over and over again, to the point where, like, you're watching a match and then you'll say, like, it's like the City Spurs match in the Champions League 2 seasons ago. The purest aspects of football are the emotional reactions you have to things, and that showed what VAR can do in an instant. Now, it's the right decision, and I, like, to be honest, fair.
Which one's the right decision?
The City with the Sterling goal.
Was that the Laporte handball?
No, that was a different one. That was
I didn't agree with that one.
No, like the one where it's Sterling and everybody's fucking going rasher, and then everybody gets brought down to earth.
That gets a lot of flack, but that is right. Like, he was blatantly offside.
It's right, and you have to kind of sort of accept that when you're going into these things.
It hurts, but it's one of those things where it's still the right call,
you're going from extreme highs to extreme lows, in an instant.
But the point of VAR is that they should always be right. If you're gonna have
Exactly.
if you're gonna get rid of these big moments for fans, then at least make the decisions correct.
Exactly. Like, and almost thankfully there was no fans in Goodison.
I was gonna say,
like,
imagine Goodison was full, and the reaction of fans when they got home and saw what did the goal get disallowed for.
it would have been fucking bedlam. Like,
Oh my
and
god.
it just takes the fun out of it. And football, I know it's a multi-billion-pound industry, whatever. Man, sports gotta be fucking fun, you know? It's just gotta be fun. I'm just sick of watching things and just getting annoyed. And not because my team have lost or like anything like that.
That's the thing, right? Liverpool lost 7-2 to Villa. I laughed. I thought it was funny. I was like, okay, this, like, yeah, it was ridiculous, but it's, you know, it's not, I'm not upset about it. But this, we get a point from a much tougher game, and I'm furious because it's not, they did nothing wrong. They did a lot wrong against Villa, and I can accept that. They were just awful. But against Everton, they played a good game. They lost their best player, and they still did everything to win the game.
They still won the fucking match.
I always say, I get mad when people say a team deserved the win, because I always say the team who scored the more legitimate goals deserved the win. Whether, like, that's all there is to it. But Liverpool scored more legitimate goals, and one got ruled out for nothing.
I just can't understand it. I really can't. Like, we're like, and we can cry for as long as we want, but when is there going to be an actual tangible change going to be made to VAR so that, like, when I'm watching matches, I know that things can go for review at any given time, but there's got to be some kind of change.
The other thing about these offside calls, Shamob, I think you mentioned it earlier, is that these cameras don't have the frame rate to tell you when the ball leaves the player's foot.
Exactly.
No, there's a margin of error. I think it's 30 centimeters, which is a foot.
Like, you can't see the ball leave the foot. It's a blur. You can't tell me the ball's still touching his foot or it's not. It could have left it a frame ago when the player was onside.
Exactly.
They don't know.
Like, that, like, assistant referees use, like, obviously their vision to look down the line, but they can't really be looking at the line and the ball, so they hear it from the connection.
Yeah.
So when it leaves the foot, like, but
literally,
sound doesn't travel like light, you know. Like, so you've got all of these margins of error that you
whenever you see the camera paused for an offside call and you look at the player passing the ball, it's just a blur. You cannot tell me whether or not the ball is still touching him.
Like, I don't think do we have anything else to talk about?
No.
Football.
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid actually did just lose at home to Shakhtar Donetsk, missing most of their players.
Which gives me
10 players.
Which gives me such joy.
Oh, Real Madrid will always be the biggest villains of football. They'll always be the biggest villains. Literally nobody but Real Madrid fans likes to see Real Madrid win.
Or Ronaldo fans.
But even now, why would they care now?
They always do. They always do.
It's like the United fans that still view Ronaldo as one of their own, even though he stabbed them in the back to leave.
I just never understand why footballers always say that their dream is to join Real Madrid.
I would fucking hate it. Well, I'd like to be a professional footballer in the first place to have that opportunity.
I had this talk with two of the lads about joining Rangers. Like, if you were a professional footballer, would you join Rangers? And I said that, like, my circumstances could be completely different. I could have a completely different outlook on life. I'd like to think I wouldn't, for a litany of reasons. I'd also hasten that they wouldn't want to sign me, but
I don't think they would, to be honest.
I'd like to think
they'd sign you. Their fans would go on Twitter, look down here.
Well, they did sign John Daly, who's from
I mean, look at it this way: black players still signed for Zenit St. Petersburg.
Yeah,
like,
money talks, I suppose.
Yeah, I would like to think that I wouldn't, but you know, it's same if Real Madrid came along. You know, I'd like to say I wouldn't, but
see, I take the money and just be bad, be Gareth Bale. Don't even be bad, just don't play ever.
In most cases,
you can't play golf anymore.
No, that's pissed me off. I don't play golf, but that pissed me off because it's absolute nonsense.
They took away the gyms, but I did not speak as I don't have a gym membership.
I mean, I can understand why. I know we're getting into ground, but I understand why they took away the gyms. You're touching fucking weights.
First they came for the 9 males.
But I did not speak as I'm teetotal. Oh, take me a Shamob. Listen,
we're getting off topic.
I'm just saying. Can I just say this? Like people are just like, oh well, I enjoy this thing, so this shouldn't be locked down. But yeah, that thing should be locked down. It's like, bro, just shut the whole fucking kip down. Let me get over this shit.
I'm happy to shut down the pubs, the restaurants, everything, as long as they also shut down the schools and give people pay to stay at home. You can't tell someone it's their fault for not staying at home when they have to go out to work because you're not giving them any money to stay at home.
The only problem with shutting down the schools is that they have no plan to shut down. They plan to shut down the childcare with that, and then you're in a bigger problem. That they just didn't obviously think through.
That's what I'm saying. The welfare should be there for everyone to stay at home.
Yeah. They never think anything through. Much like the powers that be in football. See, we just draw right back.
Yeah. Moving back away from Irish politics, back into the world of Champions League and other football. Is there anything else to talk about?
Let's have a look at the fixtures here. See what happened today.
Bayern are good still.
Oh yeah, they just smoked Atletico.
I did see something as well. I don't think we should talk for too much longer about this because I'm not overtly interested in it. First game week of the Champions League rarely ever showcases too much. It's like the start of any season. Doesn't really tell you a lot. But I saw something that was like you're seeing more and more that teams that are taking more attacking risks. Like if you're on the front foot and you're making attacking moves all the time, even in your defensive shape, say if you're pressing all the time like the way Liverpool do, that it just bears fruit in major matches. Like that if you're concentrated more so on your attacking efforts than your defensive efforts, then you're going to have far more success, which spells danger for Simeone's Atletico, whose entire MO is being good defensively.
I think he's been they've been on a steady decline for years.
Yeah, I mean, I still maintain that second leg against Liverpool right before lockdown, Liverpool outplayed them by far, and Adrian just gave it away. But not only did Adrian give it away, Liverpool had a bunch of chances that they missed because Jan Oblak is in the other goal, and he was unbelievable. But they didn't look good back then either.
And they weren't good against Leipzig in the quarterfinals.
No,
that should have been an easy route. That's the easiest route they could have hoped for to get to a final again. And they bottled it the first.
And then, it's a good thing that they didn't get to the final because
they would have been annoyed.
If today's result is anything to go by,
but you look at PSG and you wonder how they ran Bayern so close as well.
PSG ran a roll last year.
I also think finals are just everything goes out the window. I don't think it's running them close so much as everybody's nervous, everybody's tentative. You know, it's not like Bayern come out and blitz them like Barca. You just because you don't anticipate it. You know, semi-finals.
You go 1-0 up. You just say, right, hold that. We'll take the 1-0.
You know, it's like you always hark back to the 2014 World Cup. You know, it took Germany until extra time to be a fairly poor Argentina side. Without like Messi was their only saving grace.
They battered the Brazil in the semi-final.
And 7-1 against Brazil.
Yeah.
You know, so
and to be fair, Argentina could have won that game too.
Higuain.
But I think we're going slightly off topic here. We're going to talk about the 2014 World Cup final.
I think that it proves that Bayern are the best team in Europe now.
Without a doubt.
Especially if you're beating Atletico, smacking them as well, they're definitely the team to beat, as they would have been because they're the holders. But especially so now.
Oh, absolutely. I don't see any of what I've seen so far. I don't see any team capable of beating them. Obviously, that will change. You might see a contender emerge, but it's hard to see. Obviously, PSG don't look too hot.
There'll be some weird upsets. You know, some teams you expect to go far will get knocked out in the groups or in the round of 16. You really just don't know how it's going to go. There's always a few.
Absolutely.
I think that's the
Yeah.
guts of our lads. I don't think there's that
yeah.
much to say. Oh, Dundalk, Europa League
Oh
starts
yeah.
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
What do you think of them
Friend,
getting Arsenal with no fans to go and watch the games?
delighted for them. Absolute couldn't happen to a nicer crowd.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were already laughing at happened Rovers and now Dundalk as well.
Like, yeah, grand, but they're making 3-0
Yeah.
standard for the European
Off the
run.
easiest qualification run of all time.
Well, see, it's not easy, right? Like, people are saying this. Rovers fans said it a lot, right? But when you get into the Champions pathway,
Draw. Yeah.
you're getting like you have to be at least one good team, right? Sheriff Tiraspol are a good team. They've been in the Europa League group stages like twice this decade or whatever. They're good. They're better than Dundalk, especially the Dundalk now. That's completely, they're an absolute basket case. But you have to beat at least one good team along the way, and you need a bit of luck. They should have beat Celje in the Champions League. They were the better team against them, and they lost 3-0, and there was no way a 3-0 result. Then they go into the Europa League. They get played in Andorran team because they're in the Champions pathway. Then they get Sheriff. Then they had to beat Sheriff, and they did. Then they get lucky because Keflavik beat Dynamo. They beat Dynamo Tbilisi 6-1.
6-1. Yeah, that was pretty surprising. I suppose they were lucky in terms of the coefficients of the leagues they came up against. Like Moldova was basically, I think it's on par with Ireland, and then obviously Faroe Islands and Andorra are about 10 places below.
Yeah, but
they're lucky they didn't come up against someone.
But the individual coefficient of Dundalk, this is the last year from their last run to the group stages. So this was going to be the only year when they were seeded in the Champions League. This was going to have to be the year, or else they're going to end up playing tougher opposition earlier. So. Yeah, they're coming up against Molde, Rapid Vienna, and Arsenal in the group stages. You would have taken
hard to see them picking anything up in this one.
No, like Molde is their best against Molde is their best chance to get a win. I don't think they will. I think Molde are far better than them.
Do you think Stephen Kenny's Dundalk from 2016 would have had a chance of getting points in this group?
Maybe a draw. Maybe it's like Maccabi Tel Aviv. Like AZ Alkmaar were a good team back then. Obviously Zenit, and they played well against Zenit in those games. They played well.
Yeah, took the lead against them, didn't they? Yeah.
But like the Stephen Kenny's team beat Bate 3-0. And Bate were a very, very good team, and not unlucky to lose against Legia. But like Legia were a better team than them. That was a Legia team that I think was it that season they beat Real or they drew against Real.
They were in that group anyway. They were in.
They got a result against Real. Yeah. So I would have said that Stephen Kenny's team would have been more well equipped to deal with the teams, but I think that it's a much tougher group.
Yeah, and it's a more attractive group too that fans in 2016 would have loved to go to more than what they got.
Yeah, you're going to Norway, Austria, and England, as opposed to Israel, Holland,
Russia.
So yeah,
Holland's the obvious one there. But...
Yeah, exactly. But you've got Austria and England that you would love to go to. Norway's it's grand, it's close. Cheap flights. But I don't think Dundalk will do that. They won't pull up any trees, but they will make a lot of money. So fuck them.
Bad news for the league.
Yeah, we said that in 2016.
I mean, that's Dundalk and Bow was making a lot of money this year.
We said that in 2016 when Dundalk got to the group stages. They lost. They didn't win the league the year after. Said it when Rovers got to the group stages 2011.
Haven't won the league since.
It's like, you know what I mean? They've only won the FAI Cup since some league.
But to be fair, Dundalk did judging off champagne football, they only got the money for winning. They're getting to the Europa League last season.
Yeah.
But
I like that. I like that. Showing a little reference. Nice.
Which is staggering to think that was allowed to happen. But I imagine the FAI will have to be a bit more transparent about that now, and they should get the money a bit quicker.
They will, but the thing is, it's how they funnel that back into the club is the issue. Like
they're gonna have to surely.
Oriel Park hasn't been upgraded. Like all of the facilities for the players and their wage budget is twice as big as Rovers, which I find baffling. But their chairman genuinely came out and said, "Oh yeah, we pay twice as much as they do," which is mad. Rovers have the best player in the league by far as well. And anyway, either way, they're gonna have to do something better with the money. Like for all of their owners, like big chat about like buying shares in the Aviva, moving their games up to Windsor because the Aviva weren't fucking welcoming them because the IRFU are going for a kicking session, so they have to play in
That's
Tala.
disgraceful too. Fuck the IRFU, like.
Exactly.
But also, Dundalk should never be in that predicament. They should be able to play in their own stadium. Because
now, listen, like I understand that these, like they're completely like you wouldn't anticipate it, but considering Dundalk have been at the best team in Irish football for the last 6 years and been in the top two for the last 7, surely they should have a stadium, and especially considering that they've got to the group stage of the Europa League, have a stadium. Maybe not available to them right away, but eventually. Like Louth County Council have given back into a new GAA stadium, which the GAA said that they didn't want to share with Dundalk, which is bullshit. Municipal stadiums should be a thing in Ireland. We're very small.
Especially in fucking Louth, like.
Again, what I don't understand is that why aren't municipal stadiums carte blanche in Ireland? Like, they shouldn't be. Like Parnell Park should be everything. Like Croke Park should be everything. Whatever about Croke Park, they're very big. But is there any reason why Parky Queeve couldn't be Cork City's home ground?
Or even
it's very big. It's very big, but
it could take some Ireland internationals.
Exactly, like the way Thomond did.
When the Aviva was ready to open,
even at that, Limerick played in Thomond as well. Back when they were getting Markets Field done up. I don't understand why isn't the sports ground in Galway, why is that not made into GAA rugby and football? Eamon Deasy's a pretty good stadium, but come on, you've got to think big picture, baby. Think big picture. Anyway,
unfortunately, the GA will never think big picture because they don't like to share with the soccer boys as they.
And you know what? And I just want to finish on this, and then we can let everybody that's watching go, because we've had a few rants in here, but I think it's important.
A lot.
Oh man, I'm losing it. I'm blanking out these last 10 minutes. I'm gone.
We're going back to the coronavirus for a second, but how can an elite sport be amateur? Thank you and good night.
I don't have time to argue that, but
I'm just saying. How can an elite sport be amateur? I'm just saying. No, I understand why it could be why an elite sport could be amateur, but if those players are going back to work when they're also playing an elite sport, then they need their association to back them monetarily, fiduciary.
Because the GA have plenty of money.
Loads.
And on that note of conspiracy and anger, we will leave it there.
Facts, baby, it's facts.
No, it is facts. But it is anger, and it is a rant, and it is one of many rants tonight. So we will leave it there. So if you've made it through, you're a trooper. Fair play to you, and we hope to see you next week, where we will review Manchester United and Chelsea, and there's more Champions League next week. So yeah, we'll be back next week.
More coronavirus conspiracies. More corona.
Yeah, more. And you'll have nothing else to do, so you might as well tune in. So see you next week. Goodbye from Fynch, Dan, and myself. You've been great.
Yeah.